Hey everyone, my name is Kabi and today we are going to watch the game of the two players. One of them will be the light faction and the other the dark faction, so what we pretty much call the non-mirror matchup. And this is one of the elder maps containing the fleet opportunities and also just the regular rush opportunities for those willing to do that. We used to have the main bases slightly in the other place. Back then we were just introducing the game in the early beta and no fleet were in the game yet. But now they are moved closer to the shore to make sure that you can use your ships to actually attack the main base. And meanwhile we can't tell for sure if the players are ever gonna play the fleet, because you kinda don't have to, but in order, if you want to go macro and standard mid-game, you rather wanna go the fleet, because there is the chest, the other chest too, and the sea farm, and also the mana well in the sea only. So if you don't play the fleet here, you are not able to obtain the mana well, so you won't be able to use a lot of scrolls, and probably your enemy will take both of the wells, so you will be actually spammed out with the scrolls. Not every player actually has a lot of scrolls, but everyone have at least something, so they can make use of any scroll. Any scroll can be really useful, but anyway, no scrolls so far from what I see, because both players are dwelling at the 50 mana. No one actually using even the economy scroll, which I don't recommend you guys to do, and we can see Virus opting for what we call it the gold rush, I believe. And in the meantime, both players build the barracks and the farms, and the goons being a bit closer to the opponent. Virus actually decided to go for the watchtower, while the goon go to the scouting straight, or probably instead of scouting he decided to put a hit on the enemy swordsman. And now the goon arrives on the enemy's base, yet another swordsman appears, and we can also see along with the goon that Virus is going to play the Dwarven Forge deck, and also being entirely walled in, so the dark player can't even make it inside the light base. So let's see what the dark player is gonna do about this order of the buildings. We can see him in the meantime playing the workshop, building the aeronauts, and that is probably a good call right now, because we can see the light player go in the warsmith and also the shipyard, and probably he's not about to get a bombardier anytime soon, and that means that he will be entirely out of the anti-air attack, so he can't attack air. Nothing of what he has can shoot air. I'm not entirely sure why the dark player decided to actually attack the Dwarven Forge. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. Anyway, he keeps doing that and reinforcing this little army with the first aeronaut, starting to attack this Dwarven Forge straight as well. The light player building the Tower of Mana in the meantime. I'm not sure for even which exactly reason he decided to go for it right now. Probably he thinks about the bikers, thinking somewhat that he can get a castle 3, then get a factory, then be able to attack air with the bikers, and that is a correct idea indeed, but it will take a tremendous amount of time, so I'm not sure that the light player is gonna have that much. But interestingly enough, he sees that the dark player has literally no defense taking the base. So the light player decided to rally everything he had inside this dark player's base, who actually opted to quickly take down the swordsman with the workers. The workers are not too strong, but when you have a lot of them, they obviously can take a tier 1 unit down. So aeronauts actually destroyed the dwarven forge. So the light player immediately rebuilt that one, and in the meantime they arrived to the dark player's base and starting to hit the workshop, which I think actually a correct call, because the real threat to the light player are the aeronauts right now, so taking down the production building that can produce those can't be a bad idea, right? What would be the great idea for the dark player is to actually tap on that repair button, but he doesn't do that, so the workshop goes down along with all the aeronauts being queued there. And you guys have to know that if you queue the units inside the building and the building is being destroyed, you are not getting your money back. So you just lose the money for no purpose. So you never wanna queue the units in the building that you are about to lose any second now. So that was a poor call out of Makar, the dark player here. And in the meantime, the dark player also keeps losing the workers. So he's about to actually lose the base, but instead of defending that one, he decided to apply for the base trade, to commit to the base trade. And in the meantime he also adds the sawmills to just be able to probably win the base trade. Interestingly enough, this sloop tries to defend the base, probably defend the shipyard at least. I would probably recommend Virus to take their other chest first and then build at least one more ship. And the reason for that is because the ships are way stronger than the normal aviation, and if you have a couple of ships, or even probably the 3 ships, they will be invulnerable for the aeronauts, I think. Here we have the 6 aeronauts, and if there would be 3 sloops, they would easily win. But Virus is not making those. Instead of that, he added the Tower of the Light Magic and so also rebuilding the barracks. But the problem that he can never make an elven tree, so he can never get enough archers. And an interesting idea here, because he has no units, he decided to actually go for the artillery tower, which is bound to destroy the workshop. Sloop keeps trying to hit anyone, but aeronauts still dwell too far, so the sloop can't make it. Decided to go somewhere else to make something useful probably, and in the meantime the light player entirely destroyed the base of the dark player, who still has a couple of sawmills though, and the light player doesn't know about it, obviously. And yet another attempt of building the elven tree here, and of course the dark player is being upon all that, and the elven tree is destroyed once again. So I really think that it is not an option trying to build these buildings so close. So what I think is that the light player should have tried to sneak the worker away, to try to build either the Elder of Heroes or the Elven Tree, or probably even both of them, somewhere else, to actually sneak the Bombardier and probably get a couple of archers. Or the other option I can see here is keep looting those chests and keep getting the sloops, because the sloops could protect the shipyard, so he could force this into the draw. We actually don't have a draw in the game yet, so that would mean that he would have to wait for 1 hour of the game. But I mean, if you don't want to wait, you can always leave the game, right? But you will at least know that you didn't lose. If we think about it like you're playing for the win. And I don't think that the light player is actually doing the right calls to play for the win. And Makar does the right thing now. I'm not sure about his decision to attack the Dwarven Forge early on, and even about actually giving away the base, but since he's good enough to force this into his win, then probably we can call that the right call. Now he decided to build the 2 castles, and the reason for that is that the light player still has an army, and this army can make quite a bit of damage with those warsmiths. And the call for the light player here will obviously be to take down all the buildings of the dark player, because he already destroyed the sawmills, so dark player only has those 2 buildings, and if he loses them, he will be defeated. So the light player goes for it. The units starting to attack the first citadel. Building 2 citadels and not the other buildings is actually the wise decision, because the citadel has a lot of armor, and this is why it is difficult to kill it. A lot of HP too, and we can see the light player having a hard time killing even one of those buildings, and the dark player can actually even repair them. In the meantime, the light player was able to sneak the archer, and also I'm not sure how he even make it. Probably he was able to queue a couple while he had a second of having the elven tree. So now he tries to focus down those aeronauts. 1 citadel still up, and the archer goes down. No more elven tree, no more nothing, no more resources, no more workers, and that means that the game is now over for the light player, because he can't force a draw with a single sloop, and that is for sure. So now the light player has to concede, and so he does. So the game goes for Makar, who was really creative playing out this, and even though it was far from being ideal in terms of the decision making, I still like it how decisive he was in this game. And I know these players play like this all the time around, so in order if you guys will meet him in the later games, you really have to be aware of this kind of aggressive plays. And the only thing I want to remind you, that if you want to share your own game that turn it to be the interesting one, or at least you think so, please join our Discord community, and there we have a channel called Share a Battle. So you can run your replay, make a screenshot and drop it there. Write a couple of lines why you think that game was interesting, and if I will agree with you that it was interesting because of those reasons or the other ones, I can make the next video about your game. And that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, my name is Kabi, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.